Yeah, that's what he told me.
but it's just 5 of us, so look in there and see. I don't even know what I'm, what do you call alternate on or
Alternate.
anything, so.
This is the city council.
Yeah, I realize that.
Okay.
But it doesn't really matter, because we only need 2,
Yeah, there you go.
so.
Oh, you meant what committee you were on? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I meant what committee on. I do know this is the city council. All right, we will start the, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Have a motion, second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. Department comments, we'll start with you, Mr. Pons. Oh, okay. Caitlin,
Good afternoon. First up, we've got a DROD that will be coming to you tonight. We presented on this at admin. This is just a reminder of what that project is. The Element Hotel, right at the corner of 21st and Jack Warner. This piece of property here we discussed last week. I don't think you all had any questions then. Have any come up since then?
How many were?
I'm in the room.
That's privately owned, right?
Let me get to it real quick for you.
Do they
So,
have an easement, or do they need an easement to get in
no,
there?
the lot line is that red line right there,
Okay.
They're getting on.
so they don't need an easement.
How close are they to the power lines?
Right.
They're very close. Let me go to this site plan here. So that'll show you the entrance right there on the right side, and then you can see the power lines and the corresponding easement, and then the parking is going to be underneath that.
But y'all think they're far enough away, they can't reach out and electrocute?
Really, it's up to them meeting Alabama Power's guidelines for how far away they need to be from them, and they've satisfied them, so they've satisfied us. It is, let me go back real quick. It is 101 rooms, 5-story hotel, including a basement level, 94 parking spaces. And here are the renderings of the building. You can see that basement level there and 5 stories above. It was considered in August at Planning Commission and unanimously recommended.
Was this entertained by the Riverfront Advisory Committee or is it in that zone?
It's not.
I know that architecture is in the eyes of the beholder. Can you go back to the picture?
Sure, and they did. We
Is it
asked
gonna be that ugly?
we,
Come on.
I mean, again, that's one person's opinion. It looks like they're trying to be red, but they're not, and
It's like a
Maybe I'm
fall
wrong.
orange.
I think
Yeah,
it
that's
was,
orange to me. I mean, it looks orange, you might just.
Well, I asked that question last week, and they promised it would not be orange.
yes.
I
think the way you phrased it was, is the brick
Yeah.
really that orange? And they said, no, it's traditional red brick that matches downtown. So, must just be the way this rendering looks.
I think orange is a good look in the city of Tuscaloosa.
Wait a minute.
Hey, we got orange roofs.
They're copper. There's a
Looks like
difference.
Texas burnt orange.
thank you.
Yeah.
All right, and then we will have one rezoning tonight as well. This is to rezone approximately 102 acres located at and around Industrial Park Drive and Joe Malisham from R1 to institutional. It's currently not in city limits. This is an annexation and rezoning for the land surrounding the airport. Here you can see our aerial image. And the request is to rezone from R1 to institutional in order to expand the airport.
Who is the applicant, us?
I believe,
Yes.
yep, our airport manager will be there tonight.
Yeah, I'll reach out.
Okay, all right.
He doesn't need.
Yeah, I figured y'all wouldn't have any questions.
I'll represent the city on this one.
All right. Framework does show this as flex employment. We've identified that it does not conform to framework because it was identified as flex employment, but
And that was only because we were not the property owners at the time, so if someone else were to have owned that property, so now that we do own it, it does conform with framework.
Isn't that amazing?
All you need is a piece of paper and a pencil, right?
Absolutely.
and this was considered by Planning Commission in July of this year and unanimously recommended approval.
questions? Alrighty, thank you. Barry, Virgil, Barry. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We've got two of them for y'all tonight. One's 809. It's been tabled multiple times. They really haven't done any work to the outside in the last couple, 2 or 3 months. Now, she has gone in and gutted out the interior and looks like she's about ready to start putting it back together. That's what it looks like
Which
today.
district is it?
One.
What do you think?
Well, she's not responding to my phone calls right now.
Really? How often have you called her?
Usually we start calling on Monday or Tuesday before the council here.
Yeah.
I called her today
Financial.
and emailed her. She hadn't responded yet. That usually she responds later today anyway.
Got lumber stacked in there waiting to
Yes.
do something with it.
She's got the material there. It's just, it may be a matter of
Yeah,
getting
that's
her,
decent.
Is she
her
gonna be here
contractor
to-
in.
Will she
is
be
gonna
here?
tonight?
She's supposed to be.
Let's hear her out first.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She needs
I
to
mean,
be.
she got some stuff work.
Is this that lady that?
I'd say give her at least another 30 days, but with the
There's so much
understanding
trouble
that she
getting
would
the
start,
title
needs to start making
transferred.
progress.
Yeah.
If you are.
Yeah, I mean, she's got new stuff in there. Apparently she's gonna do something. We'll hear what she says tonight then.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
let's do that.
But I would recommend at least 30 days, if not, unless you wanna go 60. I wouldn't go much more than that because that's giving her too much leeway.
What's been the timeline, the time length that we've given her from, since she's acquired the property? Do you know?
How many times has it been tabled?
Yeah,
I think this is her third table, maybe fourth,
Was that 6 months worth of tables?
at least.
At least.
okay.
Now, she was going through a series of issues with the previous contractor trying to get the roof on it. And it may have changed hands since then. She may have come on board right in the middle of getting the roof put on the house.
Gotcha.
But she acquired this after the fact.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you.
All right? You gonna do the other one? Okay. This next one is, this is first hearing. This one is a little bit unique because Virgil had this one in property maintenance for 3 years, trying to locate the owner. We had the depositions ready to go, and it got to a point where we could condemn it, so we went in and run it in this process. Structure's open. It's got a large tree that's fallen on the back of the property. It did not hit the house, but we do have an open structure. The house has not been touched in nearly 5 years, so we figured this was a good candidate for condemnation. After we posted the property, it started getting the interest of the property owner and 3 other individuals wanting to buy the property. Then the first part of last week, we had an heir, which turns out to be the niece of the original owner, wants to acquire the property and pull a permit and start fixing it up. As of today, she's partially boarded it up and cleaned up around the property, and she will be here tonight to speak on her behalf. I think the owner's gonna be here too to kind of give you some insight as to what the deed is gonna look like.
What's the address on that, Mr. Chung?
809, 834, 34th Avenue.
It's gonna take some work.
So they're near Country Club.
Drop down, it's gonna get down from,
Gotta believe it.
it's in District 1, too.
That's our farmer.
District, yeah. Let's see. What is your recommendation?
It'll no more than 30 days on this one. And that's provided she pulls a permit and then makes significant progress between now and the next 30 days, unless they sell it to one of the people that's going to buy it. If they do that, then we pretty much have to start over anyway.
I appreciate you. You know, we really wanna remove as much blight as we can and want people to
Yes.
take pride in their properties and
Well, the only downside to this one is she lives out of state.
Okay.
And I don't know how committed she's gonna be. Should be up for her to tell y'all tonight.
Right.
Okay. I appreciate you.
All right, that's all we
That's all
have.
you have.
Appreciate it, Fred.
Thank you. Thank you, Barry. All right, Mayor Maddox.
Yes, sir. As I notified you, late last week, we'll be making a public announcement, or should be making a public announcement at 1:30 that I've appointed Sylvan Green to be the Executive Director of Public Works. He's the newest department head at the city, and excited about Sylvan joining our team. I've worked with him a long time and was impressed with the first time I interviewed him nearly 10 years ago. And I know he's gonna do a fantastic job for the city of Tuscaloosa. One of the things I admire most about him is, especially when we have heavy rain events, when I'm talking to him, he's out there.
Yeah.
He's in the middle of it, and that's the way he leads.
He's already there.
And I appreciate that. He's on site, he's trying to make a difference, and so I know we all look forward to working with him. I want to echo an appointment made by Ashley Kreitz and Will Smith as basically overseeing our expanded code enforcement. Thank you for funding this. We're about to put code enforcement on steroids at the city of Tuscaloosa. Will do a great job. He was with me on my bi-weekly ride-arounds through the council districts this past Friday. I think we gave him about 3 dozen code enforcement cases like that to look at.
They're really not hard to find.
And so it's, but he's excited, and we couldn't do it without the resources you're providing us. And we're very appreciative of that, and we think we can make an appreciable dent in this in all districts of our city. The next thing is, certainly we were excited by the opening of River District Park. It has been very, very popular. Social media feeds have exploded with it. I think it's gonna be an unbelievable gateway to our Western River Walk, to our entire River District as a whole. Something you should all be very, very proud of. And if you get a chance, go check out the light show that goes on nightly as part of this.
It's impeccable.
It is really, really good, and I'm very proud of it. And I think it's gonna, unfortunately, if there is a downside, that's gonna be the standard now. And so, but you know what, I'd rather be held to a higher standard than a lower.
Okay.
And so I think that's a very good thing for our city.
No doubt.
The last thing is we're gonna request an executive session, follow up really to a request by a council member. But considering the safety and security aspects of it, we need to do that in executive session.
Okay, very
That's all I
good.
have.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Any department comments, anybody? Okay. Mr. Holmes,
Sir, good afternoon, council.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I picked up over here about midway down page 2 under number 8. And we'll be starting on page 25. You'll be authorizing the purchase of equipment, supplies, or services from Stivers Ford, total of $163,508. That comes from purchasing and is some budgeted not fire trucks, but some budgeted trucks for the fire department. On page 26, you'll be authorizing an ACIP pre-application submission to the Federal Aviation Administration for the 2023 Airport Improvement Program. We discussed that in projects last week. On page 27, you'll be tentatively selecting Atkins North America, Inc. for professional airport services, and that came from projects last week. On page 29, you'll be authorizing an amendment to the agreement with the Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs for program year 2020 Emergency Solutions Grant Coronavirus Program, and that came from CD Committee last week. On page 30, you will be authorizing the mayor to execute a grant agreement with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the 2021 Grant Assistance for the Homeless Management Information System. That came from CD Committee last week. On page 31, you'll be authorizing a disbursement from District 6 Improvement Funds for Caring Days. That's a total of $2,500. That is doubled up and will be discussed on Finance Committee today. On page 32, you'll be authorizing renewal of the city's engineers' professional liability 2022-2023 insurance coverage with QBE Specialty Insurance Company. That is a premium of $18,684. You may recall we discussed that policy in general back on the August 30th Insurance and Litigation Committee meeting. We did not at that time have the premium amount. That premium amount is an increase of about $3,200. We did increase, when we submit these and make these applications every year, we look at what we're doing and make sure we're staying up to date on things. And so we updated the amount of the build amount of projects our engineers design. And so we increased that to be somewhere closer in the $3 million range.
Scott, when we, what was it, as we had this kind of tempest in a teapot about the use of outside engineering firms to design it, are they covered under our policy?
No, sir, they're covered under their own professional liability policy. This is just for our engineers and what they design in-house.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yes, sir. On page 33, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute task order directive number 6 with Garver for the Hilliard N. Fletcher Water Resource Recovery Facility Headworks Improvement Project. That's a not to exceed $695,690. You heard about that in projects last week. On page 34, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute a reimbursable agreement for the relocation of utility facilities on public right-of-way. This is AlDOT project number RPBR0007. That is a total not to exceed $142,401.30. He discussed that on projects last week. On page 35, you'll be authorizing a minor public works contract with Paints on Us Plus. That is a total of $3,000 and was discussed in projects last week. On page 36, you'll be authorizing a minor public works contract with Air Tech of Tuscaloosa. That is a $15,500 project and was their contract, and that was discussed on projects last week. On page 37, you'll be authorizing a minor public works contract with John Wayne Plumbing and Drain Service. That is a total of $14,267.25. Again, that was discussed on projects last week. On page 38, you'll be authorizing a minor public works contract with MAC Environmental LLC, and that's a not to exceed $1,400. Again, that was on your projects agenda on last week. On page 39, you'll be authorizing a minor public works contract with J&L Tree Services for $150. And again, that came from projects last week. On page 40, you'll be authorizing amendment number 11 to fiscal year 2022 Water and Sewer Reserve for Future Improvements Fund budget. That came to you on Finance Committee last week. On page 41, you'll be amending section 10-13A6 of the Code of Tuscaloosa. This is the increased parking fees that you discussed in admin last week. On page 42, you'll be amending section 22-36, Code of Tuscaloosa, and these were the reduction of the speed limit on a portion of North Ridge Road that was discussed in projects last week. And on pages 43 through 83, you'll be authorizing the issuance and making provisions for the payment of 70 million General Obligation Warrant Series 2022C. We have discussed this previously in pre-council, but we'll be discussing it again in Finance Committee Day. This is the bond ordinance that allows us to start the validation process. Any questions for me?
Any questions for Scott?
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Committee today, Cassius is the alternate for projects. Mr. Feld is the alternate for finance, and since Raven will not be here, Mr. Feld, you will chair public safety, and Cassius and Lee are the other two members of the public safety. Shouldn't take 3 minutes, I bet, because there's only one item. Should be very quick.
I'm gonna make it long.
Well, I was just fixing to say, you never know what questions somebody might ask.
I don't doubt it. All right, we have, of course, those 3 committee meetings, then with council 6 framework Wednesday, October 5th, Framework Planning Commission, Police and Fire Pension Fund, Historic Preservation, all those coming up in October. October is almost here, and it's going to be very, very busy for all of us with a lot of places we're going to be invited to and obligations. So I'm going to have Vicki make sure that she keeps my reminders going good, because it's a lot to keep up with. and I thank you for that too. All right, is there a motion that we go into executive session?
So move.
Okay, Mr. Holmes.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry I'm asleep at the wheel over here and what I normally read to you guys. I'm sorry.
You don't know by heart?
I probably could at this point. But as your city attorney and an attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Alabama, I can certify that this executive session topic is discuss security plans, procedures, assessments, measures or systems, or the security or safety of persons, structures, facilities, or other infrastructures, including without limitation information concerning critical infrastructure, the public disclosure of which could reasonably be expected to be detrimental to the public safety or welfare.
Okay, there's a motion, second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.